Okay, folks, here we are. I don't know if this is centered how it's supposed to be. Somehow this got out of whack. I'm really not sure what's going on here. Let's see, let's move this. Alright, I'm not a video guy. I never have been. I've made, well, thousands of videos now, but it's the quality that we do down here, not the quality you guys see. Well, it's the quality you guys see, but not in the professional video way. So, billboards for Gaslands. We've got one done. One completely done. For Boombox Carnage. I've got some little squares. You guys, let me pull it up. Is my display look okay, or you guys have a bunch of like bullshit on it? Yeah, but I've been changing the look of it depending on if I'm doing video, doing a video game, and I'm afraid I may have screwed up the damn thing and gotten it all out of whack. Let me sign in as let me not sign in as myself and see what I see. Ah, God bless it. So you hate it when you're typing something and you go, that's it, and it changes on you at the last minute and you click on something else. Yeah. Commercial not of my choosing. Come on. Skip that. Okay, it looks good. Okay, good. I got little boxes and stuff on here that I don't normally see. So anyway, here is the first billboard that we have for Boombox Carnage. We created this in ChatGPT, not with a whole lot of prompts. It just kind of like it knows. So, and we made this out of wood. This is all little pieces of wood, and it's mounted on a tongue depressor, and it's not top heavy enough to fall over. And then we painted it with craft paint. Of course, this material that's on here is this stuff right here, Vallejo Diorama FX ground texture, and it's the rough gray pumice one. It's what I use for most of the time when I'm using for basing. It's got a nice three-dimensional rocky type thing on there. And just dry brushed it. Some overbrushing and some dry brushing. It turned out pretty well. And we've got three other ones that are completely done. They just need to be painted and gooped. So that's what we're going to do. So this one's gooped. That's what I call putting this basing material on here. And we put some rocks on it. This is the one for Cruel Britannia. And we did the back of this one a little bit different. It's still the same way, but it strips all the way across. They're still broken up, but instead of this being attached to the back of this and then the strips in between here, these strips are all the way across, and then we attach. That's a lot quicker. And all these are just put together with hot glue gun. Assembled with hot glue gun. So this will need to be painted black before we do anything else. And the beauty about this being made out of wood is wood takes paint really well. So we need to paint this black. We also have two other bases that need to be gooped. This one here is the one for, I'm never going to remember the name of this team, because it was going to be Asian Persuasion for the longest time, but Asian Decimation, and it's not glued on here yet. This it's just in place so you can kind of get an idea of what it is. Asian Decimation, and then Rednecks. And this one is the deluxe. This is the deluxe version with areas for figures to be up here and shoot at passersby. Get off my porch, you son of a bit, you know, etc. Fill in the blank. And these definitely have some weights added to them because otherwise they would just topple over. Now, why did I make this one so big? Well, because it's got a lot of detail on here and it really gets lost if I don't print it this big. There's a lot of detail around the Godzilla and stuff like that. Again, made with prompts on ChatGPT, and I'm not going to weather them. I'm not going to weather the signs. I think they look great. They turned out better than I thought they were going to. So, yeah. So we're going to put the goop on these two, and then when the goop is done, and this one's really heavy. When the goop is done, we will paint that one black, and it's probably be time to stop for the night. So we're not going to do anything super duper exciting, but it's something that needs to be done. So, let's make sure these are in a safe place so we don't have to reprint them, because ink is expensive. But ink is weird. Like, if you don't use enough of it, it goes bad. But if you use too much, obviously you run out. It's like that balancing act here. Alright, so we're going to use the Diorama FX Vallejo here. I don't know why I'm shaking it. This stuff is thick. Let's get some readers so we can see what we're doing here. Normally I would just take out my contacts, and it's usually what we do in the morning. Alright. Let's get these small brushes out of here. And this is not what I started off using. I started off using the Liquitex. Actually, when I started doing basing, I'd make my own with Elmer's glue and sand. We had sand at work, you know, that gets added into the mixture that we use. Just, you know, clean sand, so to speak. It's not like it's got, you know, dirty or anything like that. And with Elmer's glue, and it just took a long time to dry, and it isn't as gritty. And then I found the Liquitex resin sand and was really happy with it, and used that for many years until they decided not to make it anymore because it wasn't a sustainable material. Their words, not mine. Like, you know, you're going to kill all life on Earth by making these little containers of this stuff. But whatever, I can't buy their product if they decide not to do it. So then I went to this Vallejo. Actually, some guy did a video comparing the different basing materials, and he compared a couple different brands, and he compared this one to the resin sand I was using as equivalent to each other, or the closest to each other, and I switched to this one, and this was better. I mean, it's more expensive than the other one, but they don't make the other one anymore. So, what are you going to do? I mean, there's lots of different materials you can use. This one is just great because it's got a lot of, it's real gritty. It dry brushes really well. So, and we're laying it on here kind of thick. You can get this stuff at, I guess you can get it at a hobby store, but since those don't exist around here, mine are all bought through Amazon. Don't really have a choice. I even went to Hobby Lobby the other day. Not that I'm a big fan of going there, but I went there. That's the closest thing we have to a hobby store here. And they were out of basically balsa wood. So it's like, you know, these stores just don't stock things like they used to. What are you going to do? You know, I'd rather go to the, you know, brick and mortar place to get it, but they're not going to carry it. Well, So these not only are advertising, but it's atmosphere for the games, and it's other stuff I can use as barriers to, have the cars go, a different way instead of just having only those little half wall pieces. So, and it's super easy to use. So, I had all these tongue depressors. Actually, these tongue depressors were going to be used as bases for wire, like concertina wire. And I bought the concertina wire, and I never did it. It's not like you can't go to the store and get these tongue depressors again. But I wanted to work within this size because they're rounded on both ends. I didn't want this to really be very thick, like width-wise. Just so they don't take up a lot of space storing them. Well, I think winter's over here. The little bit of winter that we get. It got pretty cold every day to the point where it was like even in the 50s indoors. Which is pretty cold to be inside your house to be 58. I don't run the heater, so that just dries you out and makes you feel terrible. It dries out all your sinuses. And then we'll sprinkle a couple little rocks on the top just to make it look a little different. The only thing I don't like about this material is sometimes it's hard to get it off whatever it is that you're applying it with. And sometimes I want you apply it and it pulls it off of it and brings it back to stay. But you got to smooth talk it a little bit. Well, we're not going to do any car builds for a little while. We're going to focus on terrain. And this is terrain. And I probably would have never built this if I didn't have a hot glue gun, because the hot glue gun is just amazing. It's like, you don't have to wait for drying. You don't get it all over your fingers. It's forgiving, meaning you glue something in the wrong place, you can peel the glue off and use it again. Peace of mind. Because I'm not designing any of this stuff. We're just kind of winging it. Let's just get the big part in here. We'll have to use the smaller end when we get in there a little closer. And we probably won't mess with this until once we're done with this coat, until maybe this time tomorrow or the following morning. Give it ample time to dry. And where are my regulars at? It's too late. Most of my regulars, I think, were actually from. They're already sleeping, or at the pub. Hey, what's up, man? Well, Justin, I had a really interesting experience. I'm going to pass on a bit of information and maybe it'll help you out. I don't know if it is. I just figured I'd pass this on. About a week ago, my car was making a loud noise when I was turning the AC on. So I'm like, well, I better take it into the dealer and make sure nothing's up, right? Because we have an extended warranty that we got on it. We had leased the vehicle, and then when the lease was up, I'm like, shit, there's nothing else I want to lease, and the leases aren't affordable. So I just bought it outright. I'm making payments to buy it out. Okay, I like the car. It's zippy, and anyhow, bought an extended warranty with it. Goes take it up to 80,000 miles. And I take it in, and it ends up being the air conditioning compressor. And I'm like, man, the car only has 54,000 miles on it. Why the hell is it? Why'd that go out? How long was it supposed to last? And apparently, there's been problems with the AC compressor not lasting on this model car for anywhere between 30 to 43,000 miles normally. So I'm like, man, that's pretty poor. So I took it in, and they said, okay, well, it's covered under your extended warranty. You'll just have your copay, whatever it's called, your deductible. Copay sounds like is a better term than deductible. Deductible sounds like it's a discount of the price. Like if something costs $5,000 and you have a $100 deductible, sounds like you're going to be paying $4,900. Hey, that's just the way it sounds to me, right? But basically $100 copay max per item, and it covers it. Sure enough, and I said, so I went and picked it up, paid $107, $107.50, taxes, and they said, I asked them, so listen, how much would this have cost if I didn't have the extended warranty? And I was spitballing, like $700, something like that. They said the part alone was $1,500. I'm like, okay, get an extended warranty. I'm like, it was an extended warranty with the, there wasn't just some random extended warranty. Like they had it when I did the financing for, buying it out. They offered that to me there. Man, it paid for itself. Just in that one iteration right there. Because if you told me I had to put $2,000 down, I wouldn't have done it. I would have just traded it and gotten something else. And there's nothing out there. There's nothing out there that in the price range that, the price range I'm looking for just doesn't exist anymore. Thanks to COVID, jacking everything up 30%. People claim, oh, it's the tariffs. Well, the tariffs don't help. But the COVID was what made everything go, and the excuses that came of it basically made everything go to shit. So, there's just nothing out there right now. $30,000 cars are now, 42, 45. Why? Oh, because people pay it. Well, stop paying it, people. The one dealership that we used to frequent a lot, because we did leases, the Toyota dealership, we did 3 leases with them. Well, technically 6, because it's 2 cars each time. Used to have tons of inventory. You go in there now, it's like they lost a fucking war, AC pumps are cheap. Never had to replace one, and then never again ran my AC in vehicles before. Yeah, well, you live in a place that you don't need it. Anyhow, I'm glad that happened because, I feel like I'm a person who makes really good decisions. But it's really frustrating when you weigh all the pros and cons and you make your best effort to make the right decision and something just doesn't work out. It's just really frustrating. That's the problem. That's the good thing about having a lease. The good thing about having a lease is you're done in 3 years. Like, you don't get to keep it. I mean, you get to, it forces you to not hold on to something that may give you problems. It's different if, okay, well, I know this is coming up and it's going to cost a couple $100, but it's just like, I've had experiences where it's like a car repair is very expensive. And then they fix it. In the process of fixing that, something else is loose and they have to fix. It's just a nightmare. And, reliable brands that were reliable aren't reliable anymore thanks to COVID and all the bullshit that goes with it. We used to never have any problems with Toyotas, and now, the Toyota dealership was terrible. So we not going to get one, not going to have one again. We don't drive Toyotas anymore. So. Okay, I think this is enough for this. We're gonna put some of these sprinkles. I don't even know where the hell I got these little rocks from. They're all disheveled little sizes. Yeah, I think our quote unquote winter, our cooler time is over. We got into the 80s. Not too bad, not. But I tell you, there's a lot of people here in the South that are sissies when it comes to the cold weather. Because remember, when it's like 30, 40 degrees here, the sky's beautiful. It's perfect to be outside in. And people will complain about that. It's too cold. I didn't move to Florida for this. Well, then get out. Then leave. Go live in some bayou in Louisiana or whatever, I'll take all the cool days I can here. Bug-free cool days. Bring them. Okay, this is Cruel Britannia, or the sticker for and that's what it is. It's not only is it advertising, but you can use this now as a barrier for the racetrack needs to go this way. You put this, and it creates a nice barrier for you. All right, so that one goes there. Now the Rednecks one. This is the deluxe edition one. This thing is I can't believe I even made this. 34 degrees. Yeah, 34 degrees, great. I can't believe I made this. Until some sissy decides to turn the heater on to 77. I'm not saying you. I know you're not one of those. But they're out there. Well, you work in a warehouse, so you probably don't even have any. You probably don't have any heaters. I think you work in a warehouse. I could have never done this without a hot glue gun. I just, and it just kind of, I didn't really decide how it was going to go. So we built it and all right, I want it this size to match this. Let's just put it kind of haphazardly and we'll build this tower and, and we even made the ladder and then, okay, let's put one sideways here, at an angle. And I'm like, well, I guess you could walk this plank and go up to the other one. Yep. I mean, it's just, and then you can put a couple guys out there shooting people as they go by. I got this one guy that I know, he's wanting to write himself into this game, and the problem with it is that everybody in my world, in this Gaslands world, is a horrible individual. They're like ex-cons or, they're, this is the finished one. This is the finished one. Turned out really well. And they just kept getting bigger and bigger. Well, I realized that they have a lot of detail. And, if you want people to see it, it needs to be big. Plus they're just for ambiance. Boombox carnage. All right. You guys have rednecks where you're at? Justin, I'm sure you do. They don't use Confederate flags or anything. What do they use? Yes, we have heaters in the warehouse because the chemicals, the cement floor in the warehouse is cold as shit. It's right by the waterfront. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's the wind. I can handle the cold. It's the wind when it's moist. Woo, it'll cut right through you, but it's still better than the heat. You can put on clothes. Yeah, I just saw on the news or whatever that they discovered some shipwreck that's been missing in Lake Michigan for over 100 years, 150 years or something like that. That'd be a good superpower. What's your superpower? I drain bodies of water so people can see what's at the bottom of them. You know, who needs to go to fucking, the solar system? I want to see what's at the bottom of our oceans. There's some cool stuff down there. Shipwrecks and such. They got heaters in the plant that run on kerosene. I don't work in the plant, but there's heaters in the plant that run on kerosene. And when you walk through there and they're fired up, you look at the bottom of them and they look like the exhaust on a Messerschmitt 262. And I mean, they're hot. And I'm sitting here wondering, this just looks like it would be excruciatingly flammable. Let me stand away from that thing. Hey, what's up, the Hoffman? So I ended up getting that game just to tinker with it, so I'm not going to be a total tard when we link up. Man, the plane controls are like, I'm not going to be able to fly. I'm not going to be able to fly. Everything else is counterintuitive. It has a lot more detail in some areas than I've ever seen anything have. It kind of reminded me of what's that? What the name of that? The Hell on Ostfront Hell, whatever the hell it's called. That game where you can like pick up bandages and helmets off of other people. That's kind of unique. And I ended up doing like the Anzio against the computer. And I'll tell you one thing. You end up like doing low crawling. It's a slow paced game because, after you get 3 or 4 people killed, you're like, man, I don't even know where the hell that came from. I guess it's a realistic game. I don't know where the hell that came from, but I'm going to crawl over to those rocks and then take a little peek. And, the graphics on some of the stuff is a bit primitive. Not really a turn off, but like the buildings, like I was crawling up in a church. Like nobody was in the church and the doors are kind of primitive, but it doesn't really bother me. The tanks look good. Even though they had a Firefly, I was playing that demo and they give you this Firefly, but it has U.S. markings on it. I was like, all right, so whatever. You're practicing as an American and they got a Firefly with U.S. markings. And then on the gun, it doesn't say 76. It says 76.2. I'm like, oh, so it's got a Russian gun. So there's all kinds of things that anal retentive World War II me, is going to pick out. But I don't know. It seems like it's pretty interesting. I don't know what happens if you run like a whole squad and you're out of people. I guess you're done for that round. They fly the American and the rebel flag at the same time. You have northern hillbillies. You live by tons of them. Yeah, I'm just wondering what the hell they fly. So American and rebel flag at the same time. Yeah, you can't have rednecks and not have a rebel flag. You can't. I mean, so like I didn't want to put the rebel flag on there because I don't want to do games and then YouTube have a fit. We're not promoting slavery here. If I was going to, I would have already done it by now. So, but it did not like putting a red X. I'm like, okay, give me a blue background thing with a red X. I just reversed the colors. Didn't like that. So I had to basically make a Scottish flag. So give me a big Scottish flag. That's why there's a little bit of white around the red. And then say, okay, we'll change the white and make it red. And then this is what I got. And I'm like, okay, that works. I actually don't mind a little red around the end of it. So. But all the teams, all the cars, really are a lot of fun. That's the whole point. Not like I don't want to play those guys. No, You just play the campaign against the AI? Well, I've only played it for very little, but the controls are pretty counterintuitive. I'll give you a holler when the wife leaves. Not that I can't play it while she's here, but it's a lot. She's working from home, so I'm playing around here and she's over in the computer room. So in the office. Yeah, this isn't the office. This is actually the pantry. This is the people used to have this as a pantry. This would be one hell of a big pantry. Fuck YouTube, they gave me a warning on the wall. Well, it's the bots. It's not the people. And that's the problem is you got to do stuff that is going to keep the bots happy. Because anybody that watches your channel isn't going to be like, oh, Justin, oh, he's a freaking racist, homophobe or whatever. No, it's got nothing to do with that. It's just that, there's little triggers that, and then if you want your channel looked at, they're so busy, dealing with issues, who knows if they'll get back to you. So the next thing you've created content and you got to go through all this trouble, So I'm like, let's just avoid the trouble. I don't show stuff with crooked spiders on it. I have said before, if you're playing a World War II game and you're building planes and you put swastikas on them, it's an opportunity to talk about how bad the regime is instead of like, no, let's just sweep it under the cover so nobody knows about it. That's my attitude, anyways. And then you could put Stalin selling Girl Scout cookies and they're okay with it. You have 2 videos of your German collection of World War II stuff. One video I had to take down. Yeah. Pussyfoots, I know that was happening a lot. They're like, oh, we're going to this other, whatever the alternative YouTube is. Nobody's on it. Nobody watches shit. So why create content for something that nobody's on? I'm creating content, so we can share ideas and motivate each other and like, oh man, that's pretty cool. Let me get, and like I said, these teams, every one of these guys, the guys in these cars are horrible people. They're all criminals. That's why they're here. Think of it as like a gladiator. It's like a gladiator. It's a gladiatorial sport. And the only people that are here are the ones that are, well, like Death Race. Or like, they deserve to die. That's why they're here. Were you wearing German shit, or you were just showing what German stuff you had? Like, if you had a dagger or something like that. Yeah, I wouldn't wear German shit. It just sends the wrong message. It's not even from the the standpoint that I personally don't have a problem with it, but it's like there was this person that I know that was playing Flames of War, and they were running First SS or Hitler Jugend or something like that, and they had a Hitler Jugend shirt on while they were playing the game. Like, I wouldn't do that. It sends the wrong message. I have no problem playing a game where I got to play SS camp guards, okay? But I don't want to wear their shirt, right? It's just a game. It's a role, I don't care what side I play things in. Do they play a game where you play SS camp guards? Probably better not to make that game, but. World War II German medical collection. What's wrong with that, Now, I did get invited to some Facebook group. I know you don't do Facebook. I think Facebook is great for the hobby, but I got invited to some Facebook group, and I got pretty thick skin, especially when it comes to historical stuff. And whoever this was, I don't even remember what the name of the group was. They would have weekly, they would have like this picture of some German veteran, and they would have a write up about what he did. And it was like borderline enamored with him. And I'm like, I gotta leave this group because it just didn't seem right. It just didn't seem right. The way it was written was, and you'd agree with me if you saw it. It's not just, guys doing their duty. It was like they were getting a little too. I don't even know what the terminology is. They were getting a little too much like looking up to him. These guys were like in SS units. It's not like, okay, well, it's, some U-boat commander or something like that, or somebody who was a fighter pilot, or, it wasn't, it was people that were in the SS. And I'm like, no, it just feels same way that, if you do the same shit with commie stuff, so. Let me get some more. Was it SS? No. It was like it didn't use this guy in particular, but if they had somebody like Max Wunsche. Max Wunsche is a poster boy of the SS. Not really, but if you see the picture of him, he was the commander of the Hitler-Jugend Panzer Regiment. And let's see if I can find a picture of him. And they would have guys like that. Max Wunsche. Let's see if I can show you a picture of him. Famous picture here of him. He's wearing one of the Italian-made camo smocks, like the Italian camouflage guys. And no, it wasn't somebody who was like a prison guard or something like that. It was just people that were in the SS, and they were like, like if they were just like, drooling over Skorzeny and shit like that. I'm like, who's in the fucking SS, man? Like, all right, I'll be right back. Let me have some tea. Fawning. Fawning is the word, the terminology. Fawning over them. And these would be guys like, for instance, were fighting the Western Allies. It's not like, well, he's out there on the Eastern Front killing communists, which doesn't sound so bad, right? But no, it was like killing Western Allies and shit like that. Like, I'd leave that group. I didn't announce my leaving either. I didn't announce my leaving. Yeah, speaking of Max Wunsche, they even make a. I've even said this. It bothers me when it sends the wrong message when you have a company that makes models and they make World War II tanks and they make 20 models, right? Say we're going to do 20 tanks and 19 of them are German. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you, man? Like, oh, well, this nobody likes the show. Well, they gotta have somebody to fight. Like you gotta make like weird shit. You're almost finished with this batch of tumbling dice ships. Really tempted to buy some more. What division? Oh, like Viking and Nordland and things like that. Okay. Let me see. No, I'm not going to be able to find it. I'm not going to be able to find that ship. I got a couple of ships that I kept in 12400. I think they're in the garage. They're sealed in the garage. I decided not to sell those. I sold all my 12400. They weren't worth looking at. The stuff that you have there looks better than what I had. I was painting them as a kid. I mean, they don't look terrible, but they look, bad by, today's standards. Post-internet standards, right? Where we all get better because of the internet. You see examples of other people doing stuff, and you're like, man, I like that. Let me try that. Makes us all better. What's that ship that you had on the right? You had Dreadnought on one side, and then you had a fat guy all the way on the right. Was that like Canopus or something like that? Like a pre-Dreadnought or something. Or was it an armored cruiser? It was a chubby guy. It was British. It looked British. Actually, all the ships you had looked like they were British. Well, the cruiser I kept, I believe, is the Falmouth, which has a pair of 6s and a line of 4s. It was a light cruiser. I want to say, I don't know if it's a 3 or a 4 stacker. I kept that one. I think I kept Elbing as well, which is a German light cruiser. And why did I keep those? Well, they were the two models that I got towards the end, and at that point, I was starting to do layering painting. Before that, I didn't do any layering painting. So like all the decks are all done, and they got the little, kind of how I paint now. That's about when I started that, in the mid-90s. Realize, oh, you think you painted slow before? Oh, you're really going to paint slow now. HMS Formidable. Okay. That's like it's a pre-dreadnought. I mean, it's a later pre-dreadnought. 1802, 03, something like that. Formidable. Yeah, I didn't know he did ships. You're all about the U-boat. Yeah, when I think of submarines, it's the Germans. I mean, I know the U.S. had a shitload of submarines and sank the crap out of the Japanese Navy, but it's still U-boats to me, You're reading a U-boat captain diary right now. Did you like Das Boot? And then there was a modern Das Boot that was like a mini-series. It probably sucks. I didn't like that Tom Hanks Greyhound thing. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't very good. Especially when the U-boat captain like tapped into the lines and was communicating with them, like taunting them. Like, that's just such bullshit. That's just so much movie bullshit. I've always liked U-boats because they look good. U-boats look really good, except those really modern ones towards the end of the war. In that Easy Red game, I've been taking screenshots and running them through Photoshop to make them look like war photographs. Well, only thing I've done is play as the Americans, and I decided to go in as a squad leader, and right off the bat, which you have like 8 guys in your group, I think only 3 of them made on the beach. Hey, I only played it one time. It's funny. I forced it. I forced exit, and when I booted it back up because I wanted to tinker with some. I wanted to tinker with the things to see if I could fly better because I know how to fly planes. Well, not in real life, but like I play for War Thunder. I fly okay. Even at realistic, I fly okay. I fly pretty good. I can't fly. I can't play War Thunder on the Xbox. I can't and fly. Nope. And I can't fly with this either. So, is not knowing how to fly planes, is that okay? it's not a valuable skill in that game, is it? It's like if you get a plane, like, I'll just sit this one out. I'll be down here. Don and I have been playing Italian planes. Doing really well with them. They're pretty maneuverable. See, that's the thing about those games is, you can't go like, oh, well, the Italian Air Force didn't do very well, so they must have shitty planes. Well, here's the problem. When you're playing a flight simulator type game with real people, right? Everybody has a skill level of themselves, irrespective of the skill level of the pilot of that particular plane historically. So, if like the Italians have terrible pilots, but you get, if you're playing them and maybe you're really good at the game, well, then you don't have a terrible pilot for that guy, right? It doesn't really. It's irrespective of the skill of the pilot. That's why the Russian planes aren't bad at all, because the Russians got decimated by the Germans, but they had really green pilots with no experience. That got caught with the pants down. All the above. But in the game, it's you flying a Russian plane, and you'd fly an American plane the same, or a German plane the same, or a British plane the same. So then you kind of look at how the aircraft, assuming it's a realistic game, how the aircraft really perform relative to each other. And we're having a hell of a time playing the Americans because they're just P-51's a great plane, but it doesn't turn that great. It doesn't turn horrible, but it doesn't turn that great. So you got to boom and zoom. And the problem with booming and zooming is you got a crowd of like 30 something planes, and you got to go into them. Somebody's going to get you. So it's a fun game. It's something to do. Someone to talk about talk about World War II shit while we're playing the game. I'm surprised there's that many people, though, that play Gaslands and follow the narrative in the game. Because it even says in the rules, like, hey, create your own world. It doesn't exactly say that, but it does at the back. And there's just I've seen so many people, okay, we're going to do something for Rutherford, or we're going to do something for Beverly. And I'm like, I looked at the teams, and I'm like, no. Tanks? What about tanks? Tanks for the memories. I hate playing tanks in War Thunder. There's just not that many maps. It's like So great, I'm walking into some game where somebody is like, I don't have ADD or anything like that, but man, I don't want to keep grinding on the same fucking map over and over again. It gets old. And like I said before, I'm okay playing a game that just has planes, but when you play a game that has tanks and there's no infantry, it's kind of weird. It's like, what are they doing out here, Playing infantry with no tanks? Okay, well, there's infantry games, right? And tanks aren't everywhere. But playing a tank game with no infantry, that just seems weird. Yeah, it's gonna take a couple days to dry this thing here, but that's all right. This one's dry enough. We'll black base that one. Read the above comment for tank context. Am I getting all the things? Let's see. Easy Red Game. I've been taking screenshots and running them through Photoshop to make them look like war photographs. You're taking the tank photos and you're making them black and white. See, I hate black and white shit. I really do. Because it's like, when I used to do only World War II and didn't do Ancients, I'd always like, man, I wish this was in color. And then you start doing Ancients and it's like, man, I wish there was any references to this civilization that I have to build an army for. Really kind of puts everything into perspective. Well, I don't know how durable this thing's going to be, but one thing's for sure, we'll be able to repair it with a hot glue gun. Because that's how it was put together. Oh, so here's one for you. I could do this with a phone too. So I'm making a sign for my Mexican team. Okay. Let's see. Let me go on to chat. Making a sign for my Mexican team, and it's gorgeous. There's no way other than saying that it's freaking gorgeous. Okay. Sorry, I got my stories mixed up. I'm making a sign which I may or may not use. I'll steal my own thunder. I'm good at that. I'm not going to look for it right now. I have a Corvette that is gold. It's a gold Corvette. It's like a Stingray, 1970 Stingray Corvette. Hot Wheels. Pretty sure it's a Hot Wheels. It's gold, and it has this big Chinese dragon looking thing. Let me see if I can find a picture of it. Hot Wheels, gold, Corvette, dragon. Okay, here it is right here. See if I can find a picture of it that is representative of it. Okay, I know I have this. There. Okay, it's got a G on it. It's probably going to get removed. It's got a Chinese style dragon on it with the, I guess, whiskers, but it almost reminds me of a mustached dragon. Here's the front of it. Some guy selling it. I got one of those brand new in the package. So I was remembering, okay, because I do want cars that I can use on different teams. I got Flower and Fubuki. She drives on the girls' team, and she also drives on the Asian team. I got Goldie Glocks. You can drive on the British team and also on the Boombox Carnage. Because it's all big Goldie rimmed type thing. That sort of stuff. So I like things that can use on both sides. So I look at that car and I'm like, what can I use? I said I could probably use that for Boombox Carnage and the Asians. And great, now I lost my chat. I am really bad at multiple windows on a phone. I am not very good at managing them. And it dawned upon me what I was going to do it as I'm going to make This is a driver who plays for both teams, and he's a rapper named Rice Cube. Okay, so I'm like, let's make an advert for Rice Cube. And in the process of it, it gave me all these ideas for taglines, and I tinkered with them a little bit. You'll be really interested in the end result of what happens here. I get this, okay? So this is, I don't know if I'm even going to use this or make a billboard out of it, but I was having fun with it, right? It is like a Chinese dragon. So, Rice Cube, Rice Rice Baby, walk this way to Death Rally. Okay? And down here in the corner, it added this. No MSG, just MPG. Okay? But it added this thing, Dragon Dynasty, on the bottom of it. Dragon Dynasty. And they called that a corner badge. So I'm like, all right, well, if I don't... See, here I go. I'm back out of it again. I don't know how to manage this shit on my phone. Like, I go back and, oh, you went back too many, you have to reload the whole fucking thing again. So, I said, okay, well, remove... Let me see if I can find it, because what I did is I actually split it in two. Here we go. This is the original one. I said, remove Dragon Dynasty corner badge. So then it removed it. Okay? And then I'm like, well, if it's corner badge, add in, and I forgot, because I've changed this Asian name many times. Originally it was going to be Asian Persuasion. I decided to do Asian Decimation, right? Because it kind of rhymes. And in my mind, I was thinking it's Asian Devastation. So I said, add in Asian Devastation corner badge. And look what it came up with. I didn't create this. It created this on its own. I'm going to zoom in on just the badge. And he's got one of the rice picker hats, right? It's freaking awesome. It looks a little bit more like Dia de los Muertos. He looks like something a little bit more Mexican than Asian, but okay. And then I realized, oh shit, it's not Asian Devastation. I wanted Asian Decimation. And it wouldn't let me do it. It wouldn't let me change it. It was like, it got through. Like, it was like, oh, that's what's its exact terminology that it said? Because that was the branch out where I did. I didn't want to mess that one up, because I actually like that little badge. He's pretty cute. Add in Asian Decimation corner badge. And it said, we're so sorry, but the image we created may violate our guardrails around harassment, discrimination, bullying, or similar prohibited content. If you think we got it wrong, please retry or edit your prompt. And I'm like, well, you made an Asian Decimation poster, and you're the guys that put that little deaf guy with a rice picker hat. I didn't pick that. I just want you to change the name to Asian Decimation. And it wouldn't do it. So then I asked it, okay, add in corner badge of Asian Decimation, which was made in a previous chat. I can't add a badge that combines a protected ethnicity with language implying destruction or harm. Well, it's not them. It's them causing it. I mean, yes, you're running, if you're Asians and you're driving in this race that could cause you to die like everybody else in the race, but it's not that, you don't send them out there to get killed themselves. You go out there to destroy other people. So then they gave me alternatives or whatever, but it was like, it like freaked out, even though it put the little rice picker guy on his own. It does look a little Mexican, but the rice patty hat is hilarious. At work, some workers have reported it getting inappropriate, but I've never seen it. Well, when that happened, I'm like, I got to tell you about it. Because it's just weird that, like, this flag, and it's interesting. It's not frustrating at all. It's this flag, for instance, it did not want, I'm like, okay, make the rednecks, and I want a blue flag with a red X on it. Like, no, it picked up that was Confederate imagery, and it is. It's supposed to look Confederate, but it's not the exact Confederate colors, but they're flipped, and I'm not putting stars on it. You have to have that kind of imagery because that's what these hillbillies would have, right? So the rednecks in my in my game, are this. So then I basically had to tell it to make a Scottish flag, and then replace the red with the white to get around that way. But we're not promoting racism or slavery or anything like that. I'm just like, you got a bunch of hillbillies. They're going to have that type of a flag on there. And I don't really want to use the Confederate flag because then you got problems with them on videos and stuff like that, right? With the bots. Like, okay, well, we don't need to. It doesn't need to promote anything in the 1860s. This is just modern redneckdom. So, but yeah, I'd created that little rice picker hat guy, coolie. That's what it's called, a coolie. So, anyhow, that's what I'm going to do with that guy. He's going to be Rice Cube, and that way he's a rapper, and he can play on the Asian Devastation team. Well, he would be the exception. Decimation. See, I can't even decide what the hell they are. That's what I need the Billboard for, is to keep myself straight. All the Asian guys, the whole point is they drive Asian cars. Well, that guy will be the exception. That guy will be the exception. So, yeah, he's really cute. He's super cute. It's sharp, man. That stuff. I mean, the Mexican team one is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Like, I did very few prompts, and then I went and changed what some of the cars were so that they match other cars that I have. And it's fucking gorgeous. Well, it didn't like that. Okay. Didn't want me to. I gotta pull it. See, I downloaded it. But I'm not gonna make it until I knock these things out. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, give me that truck, and I want some Dia de los Muertos, a black truck with white Dia de los Muertos markings on it. And I want the car in the middle to be red, just so you have a little bit of variety. And then the Impala on the right, I said, make it green with black flames. That's what I got. I got that. It's really pretty amazing. It's really pretty amazing. So, I think it's a useful tool to open up the pores in your brain and you manage it. Not like, well, we'll just let it just take off and do it. No, you still need a human to like, I want that, I don't want this. Let's go this way with it or whatever. The only thing I don't like about it, there's one thing I don't like about it, and I don't know how to manage it yet. My wife's been too busy. I haven't been able to ask her about it. But when you ask it to do something, it sometimes gives you too many. Like, okay, let me give you an example. You mind if I give you if I do this? Like, this is for the one I did for the Asphalt Saints. Said, make a Gaslands team logo for a Mexican Gaslands team that is called Los Santos del Asfalto, okay? And then I get all of this stuff. I get like a bunch of different options, okay? Like it says, a Mexican-themed Gasland team concept logo. Core concept, style direction, Grindhouse plus Dia de los Muertos plus Lucha Libre plus Mad Max Desert Chaos. Primary visual elements, and then it lists them. And then below that, topography style. All these things basically describing kind of as what was that computer D&D game a long time ago? I never played it. It was text. Zork. In a Zork way, describing what everything is. Okay? Front vibe, all this, and then color palette below it, okay? And then it gives you alternative logo variations, option 1, 2, 3. If you'd like, I can now make it rectangular, billboard style, make it printable full bleed, make it more cartel gritty, make it more comic book vibrant, Add a specific vehicle, a Camino, Impala, armored Tacoma, etc. Add a female Santa Muerte inspired mascot. Make it more lowrider / hydraulics focused. What direction do you want to push it? And then I said, okay, make it rectangular billboard, add Impalas and 1950s trucks lowered. And then it still gives me a ton of other shit. It's like, dude, like put something out there for me to tinker with it. It's like, sometimes it does, sometimes you ask it to do something and it gives you a visual immediately. And sometimes you go through this sparring back and forth 4 and 5 times before you ever get it. I just like, I don't know what to do with that, you know? And so just make it, you know? That's it being dumb instead of doing the image. It sometimes doesn't recognize that it should be making an image. It does that with shopping agent too. But but it's sharp. I mean, it's like, it pulls things from, like, I didn't have to tell it. When it made this artwork, I didn't have to tell it. Here's the original one that it did. Let's see. How do I make this there we go. How do you make it bigger? Okay, make it bigger. Can't get it on the fucking screen, man. There it is. This is the first image it created automatically. Like, okay, I love the little skelly guy in the back. I love the font. I love the 3 cars. I like the dusty environment in a desert. I like that they're driving on asphalt and the other 2 are not. I mean, it's like, it's damn near perfect. It's like, I didn't do anything. It's like damn near perfect. So then I just tinkered. I changed a couple of the vehicles. You know, I didn't want to do blessings and bullets. You know, I changed something different. But it's like, I hardly had to tinker with it at all. You know. But I figured you'd be interested in some of that feedback. But it's super cool. The only thing I don't like about it is it, and that happens when you ask it to write stuff too. It like interrupts your request and asks you 50 things, but then doesn't really give you a way to answer any of them that I see to, you know, it's like there's a guy that, and you've probably encountered people like this, and I hate people like this. You mean you don't like people? I say, no, I really hate people that are like this. Somebody will ask me, say we're playing DBA. And this guy would be like, you know, so we're playing a DBA game. Well, how come you moved your horse into that? And in the process of me answering it, he's already asking me another question. And while I'm answering that one, it's like he interrupts himself to ask more questions so nothing ever gets resolved. It seems like self-interference, you know? When it starts hallucinating and giving walls of text instead of an image, start a new convo with it and delete that old one or just leave it alone. Okay. It's super cool. You know, it's super cool and my wife uses it for all kinds of stuff. But, you know, one of the things like we used it when we went to Spain, she's like, you know, okay, make an itinerary where we're going to these places and we're going to be there 7 days. And, you know, and you don't just follow it off a cliff, but it kind of gives you ideas of how to, you know, it's a brainstorming tool, you know? So it's super cool. It's super, super cool. But, you know, I'm not having it design cars for me or anything like that, you know. You keep it on a short fucking leash. Has a small amount of memory where it remembers things about you like and you're making Gaslands. Oh yeah, I remember stuff that like, hey, would you like for me to make a scenario using the Boombox, Carnage, and Rednecks? I'm like it remembered that. And it was like, it made a scenario where the Boombox guys, I didn't even tell them that they had a bus, that they have this bus that has to deliver the speaker system to this concert. And the Rednecks are intercepting. I'm like, that's perfect. You know, that's like, you know, you just have to tinker with it. It's really, really powerful. It's really, really powerful. So, and, you know, if it takes over my job, good. I can sit here and make this stuff. I'll be poor, but, you know, at least I could do what I like to do. But, you know, I can get it to cuss. I can get it to say, you know, write inappropriate things. Because all of my signs are edgy. They're all edgy. It's almost like wacky packages. You're probably too young to know these, but wacky packages were like garbage pail kids and wacky packages. We're kicking it like it's 1982. And they were all like fake little stickers that you would trade as kids, and I never had any because I didn't have cool parents or anything like that. But there was like fake advertisement for it would make fun of real products and put them in a inappropriate way. They weren't inappropriate like sexually, but they were inappropriate like they were crude or gross or something like that. So kind of like that. Hey, it's about having fun and laughing. But it's a super cool team. It's a super cool concept. The other way to get around it, I actually got around it, is one of the teams that I have, the girl team. Let's see if I can find it here. The Hairpin Harlots. Okay. Let's see which one this is. No, that's Circus Germanicus. Circus Germanicus looks incredible. Circus Germanicus is incredible. We tinkered with that one quite a bit. You'll get a kick out of this. Okay, so I ask it names for Gasland teams that are all female. So it gives me all these things, right? And Hairpin Harlots is one of them. I'm like, all right, I like that. I like that. Well, all women aren't harlots. Well, these are. These are all nasty. Okay, so I picked the name, right? And then I go, okay, logo for the team called Hairpin Harlots that are all female. It starts getting all this text stuff that isn't very useful. And it comes up with this. Okay, which is actually pretty decent. It's actually pretty decent. It looks like a cross between a Nova and a Boss Mustang. Something like that. Drift, dominate, destroy. It's got a driver. Driving on the British side. Doesn't look female. It said, replace car with Barbie Dream Wagon in pink with guns on it and an angry blonde Barbie-like driver giving the middle finger. That's what I told it. Okay? And it gave me this. I think I'm too close. Okay, it gave me that. I said, make the car look more like a mobile home, right? Then I get this. Still don't have a middle finger. Hold on. That's better, I think. Okay. Then I go, make the vehicle face to the left, make the driver shoot a bird. Like, okay, like I need to get the big middle finger in there. And then it didn't really do anything. Now they got two fingers up. And I'm like, all right, flip the vehicle image so it's facing the other way. And then finally, we got it to face the other way. Okay? Then, write Bimbo Bomber on the side of the vehicle. I can't add that specific phrase to the vehicle. If you'd like something that keeps the chaotic over-the-top energy without using a derogatory term, here are some strong alternatives that would still look amazing on the side of the pink War RV. And it gave me a bunch of other stuff. And then I asked it, write Bimbo Bomber in quotation marks on the side of the vehicle. I can't add that phrase to the vehicle. It gives me other suggestions. And then I go, okay, have the driver raise. So I'm like, okay, we're not going to be able to get the name of it on there, right? So we're just going to move past that. Have the driver raise middle finger instead. And then I get this. All of a sudden it writes Bimbo Bomber on it. Even though it couldn't do it before, it wrote it on there. So, like, remember that I asked it and gave it to me anyways. And this is the closest to the middle finger that I can get. I can't get more than that. So, hopefully, when I print it, everybody will know what she's doing. Everybody will know what that Karen is doing. And then, of course, we changed it to Fast Girls Finish First. Whatever the double entendre of that's supposed to mean. And then, we needed to add, and they gave me kind of like a smoke siren here. Look, there's like a smoke. There's like a, let's see, my finger's over on this side. There's like a smoke siren. There's like a smoke in the shape of a lady there. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Or if you're going to do that, add Charlie's type angel's silhouette in the background. Okay, so we got this, which looks freaking awesome. Sorry, it's so damn blurry. It's not blurry here. I've been doing that with creating GPTs reference rule books, so when I have a question, I ask the GPT instead of thumbing through a rule book. It's so stupid yet so smart, I hate it. Well, I think it works really well if you have an idea of kind of what you want, but doesn't have to be a certain way. If you're flexible on the delivery of it, then what they come up with will work. But if you're like, you gotta have it this way, it's gotta have this kind of writing. No, it needs to be, Arial, narrow, I think it could be problematic. That Karen looks like, who the hell's Nancy Grace? Nancy Grace. Is that the person that's been coming up in the news lately? Nancy Grace. Sounds like a talk show person. Looks a little like, what's that girl from Australia? It's all over the place. Margot Robbie. But I just wanted to be some Barbie looking chick. Nancy Grace. She a talk show person? Yeah, I guess so. No, this girl looks better than Nancy Grace. Yeah, I guess she's a news person. Not all blondes are bimbos. I agree. But this one is. And a criminal. Otherwise, she wouldn't be in this race. There's no nice people here. So anyways, it is super cool. It is really, really cool. And most of the time it'll give me ideas for like names of teams and it'll help me brainstorm. And it's rare that I pick one. Like the Boombox Carnage is me. I knew it was going to be Cruel Britannia, Circus Germanicus, Rednecks, Asian Dust. None of that's picked. It did pick the Hairpin Harlots. Occasionally gives you ideas for, taglines and stuff like that. It's like having a partner to kick ideas off of, So. Oh, Marty wants to be in the games. And you don't want to be part of this game. It means you're a criminal, Mitch isn't in there. I'm not in there. I'm a good person. Or at least I don't deserve to be in some gladiatorial death match. All right, I think we got everything on there. I think this thing's going to look stupendous. As Barney would say, stupendous. Remember Barney? People hated Barney. The problem with Barney isn't the guy in the dinosaur suit. The problem with Barney is the 13-year-olds that are acting like they're 6. That's the problem with it. When I use it to give me names, I almost never use the name it gives. Rather combine their suggestions of your own, create something of your own. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I agree. I mean, maybe if you don't have any ideas, you know, if you're like if you're not witty or something, but it lubricates your thoughts. You know, it's pretty. You said it's smart, but it's stupid. I think it's more like pig-headed, but it's pretty cool. I wish it'd take over my job so I could stay at home and do this. Doesn't quite work that way. Doesn't quite work that way. But one thing's for sure, doing this stuff out of wood, this is some empowering stuff because I feel like I've just doing Gaslands. I'm in my own school learning how to do new shit, you know, and that's pretty cool. I'm really enjoying that a lot. And again, you just kind of have to know yourself and realize, okay, this may look like crap, but it's going to look okay. Just like when I was putting this thing together, you know, this looks better than I thought it was ever going to look. And that dirt is like, it's perfect. You know, all with craft paint, with cheap ass freaking craft paint. So, but I'm not going to damage the sign and put drippings on it. You know, I don't know how it's going to react with the water, and I don't want to be like, oh, this looks great. Oh, I fucking ruined it, you know? But yeah, okay, so that's Cruel Britannia. This is Asian, oh, fuck, I got this on it. Asian decimation. Asian destructification. And the rednecks. So the next one is going to be Circus Germanicus, but I think I'm going to finish these before I go and build the actual sticks in the frame of that, you know, of that one. And then I'm not going to do Marty's sign until I figure out what I'm going to do with the building, because I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this the garage. Just something that could take up some real estate on the board. It can be off to one side or something like that. I think that's what I'm going to do with this thing. Is we're going to cut the edges, you know, so it's flush. Anyways, same thing what we did with the cantina. And then we're going to make these like bays where cars can pull in and be worked on. None of them will be open. It's just a facade. And I think that'll work. I think that'll be cool. Now, it's definitely going to have a desert, orale looking adobe type of look to it. You know, similar to this. And, you know, put some roll-up doors here. You know, I think that'll work. And that little one's been pretty durable. But I ended up putting that, the guys ended up racing around it in the last one. But I've seen some people use clear coat before weather. Yeah, I'm probably going to clear coat it, the whole thing. It's also going to flatten it a little bit, but I don't think I'm going to put bullet holes in it. You know, first of all, they're kind of weathered as it is. You know, they have a weathered look. You know, kick back there. Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of little things saved for turrets, but I figured this could be something like that. Which movie is it? What are the Star Wars movie? I think it's the one where they're doing pod racers and they got like sand people shooting at them as they go by. That's kind of the concept here. You know, we got these rednecks, and they'll just shoot at everybody. One of the concept for ideas for Gaslands game through ChatGPT said, make it so that whoever is in the rear gets shot at by, you know, turrets or something like that. You know. So, all right. Well, this is where we're going to leave everything off at. I appreciate you guys coming by. I'm glad I got a chance to share that with you. I figured you would get that kind of feedback. I think you would enjoy that. And we'll see you guys on the next one when this stuff drops.